my view, there is a big fight over the values of the Liberal Party. I think there's some people like Alex Antic that are trying to drag it towards the roots. The Menzies statement, if you guys haven't seen the Menzies We Believe statement online on the Liberal Party's own website, that was their founding document. What was it, 10 minor parties that Menzies coddled together and formed the Liberal Party out of, including the United Australia Party back in the day. And he founded it around this small government statement, basically saying government needs to be restrained. That's a classic Liberal.
Yep.
A classical Liberal. And when I see that, I'm like, okay, there's this war in the party where, and I'm talking about this specifically with regards to my state in New South Wales, where it's probably the most heated, where there are people that are trying to drag it towards that, back to that statement, back to its roots. And then there are others that are trying to be a bit more progressive, like Alex Hawke and like, Michael Photius, and these lobbyists for these renewable companies. And I get really concerned when I see that, because I'm like, guys, what are you doing? That's not what the party used to be. And now, you worry about this teal threat, you're losing more votes to One Nation, the UAP, the Libertarian Party. You've got to go back. You will form government if you win those people back in the lower house. But no, and that's the problem I see in the UK, which is very developed right now. Did you see Nigel Farage when we brought him out?
No.
Right. Nigel was great. I do believe I'll post his videos again, but he's now challenging the establishment Conservative Party there, because they've just, for example, on immigration, they've done nothing. They've been in government for 15 years or something, done nothing.
Yes, because once again, people get into politics and they become paralysed. This idea that they came in with good intent, they came in with good motivation, suddenly they've been captured by the system, and there's this political paralysis that takes them over, and so then they end up doing nothing. They don't follow through on issues. They don't ask the questions that need to be asked. There's no genuine perseverance. Instead, their total focus is survival. Well, forget about survival. That was never the reason why you got involved in the first place. And if it was, then frankly, you're a disgrace and you shouldn't be in there anyway. But this happens time and time again, and very, I don't know how you would describe it, perhaps fortuitously, one of the few silver linings from the last WA state election, when we got absolutely smashed. Never before in the history of WA did we do as badly as what we did, and I don't think we'll ever see another outcome like that in our lifetime. But the great thing is, the number of people coming in at the next election will be greater than the incumbent, and that gives you a chance to change political culture. And the same thing happens in the Labor Party, incidentally, because they've got a lot of people retiring and they're going to lose a stack of seats too. So
what do you mean by that? The amount of people coming in is greater than...
So we've obviously got some incumbent members, but very few in number, right? I'll give you an example. In the upper house, we've got 5 members. In the lower house, it's 5 that are continuing. In the lower house, we've got 2. So we've got 7 incumbent members continuing at the next election. That's microscopic, right? Yeah. We're winning more than 7 seats across both houses of parliament. So the number that are coming in will be greater than the incumbents. And why that's significant, it means that if we can, people like you, Joel, and others who are concerned about this, can build relationships, keep these people accountable to why they got involved in the first place, you get to change political culture, because the new ones swamp the incumbents in terms of their mere number and presence. And
I'm into that. It's a slow process.
Wow, and that's very encouraging. We've got a great opportunity in WA as a result of that.
Yeah, look, I make no bones about it, guys. I've said this many times over the last few years. If everyone in Australia was mandated to join a political party, the Greens would actually be a pro-nuclear party. Even the Greens of Germany and France are pro-nuclear. But the people that vote for these parties, they're being represented by people that don't actually represent those values. The people that vote Liberal, they're voting for what they thought was Liberal, the Menzies We Believe statement, but that's not what it is. The people that vote Labor because their parents did, because that back in the Union days they were the Workers' Party, they're not the Workers' Party anymore.
No.
They're the Champagne Socialists. And then we also see the situation with the Greens. They're like, oh, green, it's nuts and whatever. It's a watermelon, green on the outside and red on the inside because they're communists, but they're green, have a green facade.
Yep.
And same with the Teals. I mean, like,
Yes.
you just got to go out and see all the different cars they drive when they're polling, and they've got the Teslas and the four-wheel drives. But guys, you mentioned something about the Parliament. The incumbents coming in are going to outnumber. Sorry, the people coming in are going to outnumber the incumbents.
Yep.
If you look at this particular graph, guys, this is on Wikipedia. This actually shows the makeup of the Parliament in WA, just so you understand how much the Liberals got decimated for various reasons. By the way, there was a lot of leadership. Again, this is 4 years ago. The Liberals got decimated to the point that there's only 3 Liberals and 3 Nationals in the upper house. Is it the legislative count?
In the lower house.
In the lower house.
Out of 59 members, that's right.
And
6 out of 59.
And in the upper house where you dwell,
Yep.
there are 3 Nationals and 2 Nationals.
There's now 2 Nationals.
Two Nationals, right.
That's because there was 3 and one's gone independent. And there's 7 Liberals. So it's at least given us sort of, a fighting cohort, obviously still outnumbered. And in the upper house there, as you can see with the red, it swamps the chamber. So they've got an absolute majority in both houses of Parliament. And that's been very dangerous. And as a result of that, they have been ramming legislation through whenever they want, which is why it's all the more remarkable that they ended up repealing that shambolic Aboriginal cultural heritage laws, because they didn't have to.
People power.
Right, exactly.
Amazing.
Right. And that's where perseverance matters.
And this is the thing. My inclination to call election results. I don't think we'll see a Liberal government, and I can speak perfectly transparently on this, guys. But I don't think we'll see a majority in the lower house of the coalition. But in the upper house, I think there's a very, very, very certain chance that you're going to have a coalition. Surge with the amount of seats they've got with the new system. And definitely we're going to have a crossbench, a very large crossbench. And I'm excited for it because I know it's going to give you guys something to work with.
100%. Yep. I've been involved in 4 parliaments, Joel, and the first 2, my party was in government. This 4th one, obviously it's been an absolute democratic disaster. Because we've just had arrogance and authoritarianism just rammed down our throats for 4 years. But the 3rd one that I was involved in, even though we were in opposition, and no parliamentarian from one of the major parties wants to be in opposition, you always want to be in government. Even though we were in opposition, it was the best parliament that I was involved in, purely from a democratic participation perspective. It was the best. Why? Because neither of the major parties had a majority. No one had a majority. Everyone had to work with one another, the crossbench and so on and so forth. There was none of this fake, Labor Green coalition that then got them a majority and so on and so forth. It was tight. And if you did the work, you could persuade people on a case-by-case basis. And we won more votes in opposition than we lost in that whole 4 years of Parliament. It was very rewarding. Now, again, I'm not wanting to be in opposition in the next Parliament. Of course we want to be in government, but wouldn't it be great for our democracy if there was that genuine capacity to be able to scrutinise legislation and bring forward quality policy outcomes rather than this just arrogance and incompetence? Has been quite unbelievable.
And I will say this, of all the parliaments I've been to in the country, I haven't been to Tasmania's parliament or the Northern Territory, but of all the parliaments I've been to, WA, and this might sound strange to people that aren't spiritual, but it doesn't feel evil,
Right.
if that makes sense. I've been to the Melbourne Parliament, and that was by far the worst. As soon as I land in Victoria, I'm like, I just feel this sort of weird feeling. But I get to WA, despite it being, overwhelmingly Labor, I actually feel quite nice when I'm there. Again, this may sound very strange to people and a bit woo-woo, but when I see what's going on around the country, you do sense an energy about it in different states and a different level of positivity and negativity. And I've been to your parliament a few times, and I'm very optimistic about WA. I love the people. I like seeing that synergy. When I walk in the parliaments in Canberra or in Melbourne, there's an iciness as you walk around, like you've got eyes on you all the time.
Yep.
From MPs, from staffers, from everything.
Yes.
But it sounds like, and I feel like you're affirming it when you're saying that there's a synergy, we work together on certain legislations when we had a balanced parliament.
Yeah, I guess there's a certain warmth there, maybe, is probably what you're describing, and a bit more of a, laid back, probably West Aussie type of character to the parliament. I think that would be true. And the funny thing in politics is that warmth and relationships flourish often because of work that parliamentarians do together on parliamentary committees. And it's parliamentary committees that suddenly enable a parliamentarian to get to know another person from another party and realise actually they don't have horns. Yeah. They don't eat their children alive and all these kinds of things. Yep. And, there's strange ideas that you always assume the worst, the other person's evil and, conceited and so forth. And so some mutual respect is developed. But what concerns me at the end of the day, Joel, I think that those are true characteristics of the WA Parliament. But my concern is that the average parliamentarian is not persevering when they're taking up matters. Issues are just taken up in a half-hearted fashion, and that's the culture that I'd like to see changed in the next election.
No, absolutely. Just to close, I hope you enjoyed that particular clip. Remember to like, subscribe, share this video, get it out there. We've got to break the echo chamber. But also, if you're trying to get a hold of me a little bit more directly, I have actually a whole membership group of people on Buy Me a Coffee. It's kind of a overrated eyebrow club that I've formed. You guys know how much I love eyebrows. If you click the link in my description or if you click the link in my bio, you will actually see a link to join the Buy Me a Coffee family that I'm building. I want to be able to share more with you guys as to what are my plans ahead of the election, what are my raw and uncensored predictions for the elections and the various bills going through the parliaments. But also, I want to hear from you guys. What are the big tools that you want to see to help you meander through the craziness that will be 2025? And what advice do you have for me? What do you think the biggest issues are? Some of the best projects I've come up with have been from your ideas. The How to Vote cards, the LGBT book registry, the reparations calculator. These are all things that you guys, from chatting with you, have inspired in me to form and make. I just happen to have the means to do it. But I want to actually, be walking around with both eyes open as to what's going on in this country. And the best way to do that is through you. It's through family. And I think that's why they try to destroy the family unit in this country. If you want to join the club, click the link in my description, click the link in my bio, join the family. There's 3 different eyebrow tiers, bronze, silver, and gold. You don't have to go for the gold one. The bronze one is really good. We're going to be chatting monthly on a Zoom together. We're going to be chatting about what's going on in this country, and I'm going to be able to hear about what's going on in your lives, what you guys need, and where you see things going. And I can be a little bit more raw with you and let's just say swear a little bit more, which I really want to do. I'll see you guys later. God bless you. Thank you again for your support, and I'll see you in 2025.